Hey guys, it's Miss Tidwell. Teaching time with Miss Tidwell. It is a rainy, I'm looking out the window. Rainy day. And I thought, what's a great thing to do on a rainy day? Read a book. So I have a story I want to share with you. Now, before I do, I want to share with you, I think I told you this before at the beginning of the month of April, that this month, our life skill of the month is forgiveness. And forgiveness is a really important life skill. Forgiveness can also be really hard to do sometimes. Forgiveness is when you just sometimes have to let things go and know that even though somebody said something that hurt your feelings or made you mad or upset you or bothered you, sometimes you just have to let it go and say, it's okay. It's like accepting someone's apology. So especially when it's somebody that's a family member, somebody that you love, somebody that you enjoy being around, a good friend, sometimes people say things and they say it out of anger or hurt themselves. And a good friend has to sometimes say, well, you know what, their friendship means more to me than hanging on to some anger that I have about that person that made me feel sad or mad or bothered. So forgiveness is an important life skill. Let's take a look at this story called Crazy Hair Day and see if we can find anything that relates to the life skill of forgiveness. Crazy Hair Day. The story is by Barney Saltzberg. Crazy Hair Day. I'm going to slide right here so you can see. Crazy Hair Day. Stanley Birdbaum woke up early. Bald Eagle Elementary School was celebrating Crazy Hair Day, and Stanley couldn't wait. They had celebrated Pajama Day, Twin Day, and 60s Day. Stanley's favorite was Twin Day because he and his best friend Larry Finchfeather had worn exactly the same thing. Hey, it sounds like they're having their special week like we did when we had a whole week of Spirit Week and got to dress up in different things for the week. Stanley was ready. He had rubber bands, he had styling gel, and to make his hair perfect, Stanley had 2 cans of Halloween hairspray. Stanley's mother knew just what to do. She wrapped, she dipped, and to make his hair perfect, she sprayed Stanley's hair bright orange and blue. "Ta-da!" said Stanley. "I am a work of art." "You're going to be late if you don't hurry," said his mother. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the tops of his spikes. "This," he said, "is going to be a day I will never forget. I bet Larry Finchfeather and I will have the craziest hair in the whole school," Stanley thought. As he walked towards the classroom, he heard his teacher talking. "And remember," Mr. Winger said, "Crazy Hair Day is next Friday." Everybody stopped. Everybody stared. Stanley felt sick. Larry Finchfeather said, "Is that a hairdo or a hair don't?" Everybody laughed. Stanley ran to the bathroom. Think for just a minute. Why did he run to the bathroom? Because he's embarrassed. He just heard his friend say something that made him feel bad and hurt his feelings, and the others laughed about it. Now, Stanley made a mistake. He was on the wrong day for Crazy Hair Day. Mistakes happen. I hope things will be okay. A few minutes later, Stanley heard someone come in. "It's me, Larry Finchfeather." "The Larry Finchfeather who just made fun of me in front of the whole class?" asked Stanley. "I was only teasing," said Larry. "Some days you tease me too much," said Stanley. "Mr. Winger said he wants me to try to be a peacemaker instead of a troublemaker," said Larry. I'm supposed to bring you back to class.
I'm not going, said Stanley.
If you stay in here, you'll miss being in the class picture, said Larry. I thought that was next Friday, said Stanley. Crazy Hair Day is next Friday, Larry said. Today is school picture day. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the tops of his spikes.
This, he said, is gonna be a day I will never forget.
Larry Finchfeather suggested that Stanley try washing his hair in the sink. It won't help, said Stanley. Halloween hair color lasts for days. Well, it really doesn't matter. It's only your hair, Larry told him. If you don't come out of here by the time math is over, I'm coming to get you. You can't stay here all day. It was very quiet after Larry Finchfeather left, and Stanley wondered if maybe he could spend all day in the bathroom. He ate his lunch, he drew pictures, he even timed himself to see how fast he could flush all the toilets. 32.5 seconds, he shouted. A new world record by me, Stanley Birdbaum. Stanley had counted up to 121, 122, 123 drops of water from a leaky faucet when Larry Finchfeather came back. Beep! Time's up. Let's go, Larry announced. Picture time. If I'm in it, I'll look like the class weirdo, said Stanley. Remember 60s Day when Mr. Winger had the flu but came in anyway, said Larry. He said the day wouldn't be the same if we weren't all together. You have to come. I'll give you 5 minutes. Larry Finchfeather left, and Stanley Birdbaum thought about 60s Day, when Mr. Winger had taught them all those great old songs. He remembered how on Pajama Day, everyone in his class had worn PJs and slippers. Aw, that was fun when we did that too. Then Stanley imagined what his class picture would look like without him. I like this picture. So he's imagining all of his classmates and they're an empty spot where there's no Stanley. He decided to go back to class. To keep from being nervous, Stanley made up a song. Crazy hair, how I wish it wasn't there. Stanley felt someone touch his shoulder. I was just coming to get you, said Larry Finchfeather. What if they laugh at me again? Asked Stanley. Everything will be fine, Larry whispered. I promise. Do you believe him? Yeah, I think so. I think that everything's going to be just fine. Stanley stood in front of his class. Wow, look at his face right now. He looks what? Remember, your eyes are like the window to your soul. He looks what? Surprised. Why would he look surprised? Everybody stopped. Everybody stared. Stanley rolled the rubber bands in his hair. He gently tapped the tops of his spikes. This, he said, is going to be a day I will never forget. Look at his classmates and his teacher. What did they do? They made their hair look crazy too. Why'd they do that? So their friend Stanley wouldn't be embarrassed. To help them look like they all belonged. What a great story. Did you like it? I hope you did. I like that story too. Did you notice anything where it showed forgiveness? Do you think Stanley forgave his friend Larry when he made a joke about his hair? Because when he made that joke, it what? It hurt Stanley's feelings. And he turned around and ran off and stayed all day into the bathroom. But he decided that it was better to let that go. His friendship meant more than hanging on to that feeling of embarrassment, anger. Forgiveness is really important. Remember, we said that, especially now, we can't be at school together. You're at home a lot with your family, a lot with your brothers and your sisters. Do brothers and sisters fight? Of course they do. I'm a grown-up and I still fight with my brother, but that's okay. We still forgive each other and we love each other because that's more important than hanging on to anger and hurt feelings. Forgiveness is a really important one. It's being able to say, I forgive you, when somebody gives an apology. But it's also important, that person that makes somebody feel bad, try to think about what you're saying and what you're doing before you say those words and before you make those actions. Think before you speak, think before you act. If you know it would make somebody feel bad, keep those words to yourself. Remember, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So try to keep from being that person that makes somebody feel bad. All right, have a great afternoon. Know that you're missed. I'll see you soon.